Hello, everybody. So, I just wanted to come on here and chat with y'all for a little bit. Might not be a very long video today. I also want to go across the street because we're almost out of a couple things over here. I went over there yesterday and was confronted with a bunch of handmade signs that said, "We are cash only." And I only had my debit card, so that was a bit of a problem. So I don't know if they lost power or what happened exactly. Didn't get to. There were two workers there. There was one who was putting stuff back in the freezer section. So I'm assuming they still have power, but I don't know if their card reader went down or what the issue was. But I can only see two workers, one person who was probably doing the stocking and the cashier person. But like all the self-checkouts were down and everything, so something had gone awry, and so they were only able to accept cash payments. And so I came back, and did stuff around here. I wanted to let you guys know part of the reason why I have yet to upload a new game for us is that, well, first off, I'm having a bit of an issue deciding what game to play next. But then also, do you guys remember Chef RPG? We had a gameplay video. We had a couple videos of that game. So they dropped a huge new update on us that gave us a completely new area, gave us new quest that includes I don't know if you guys remember there, and I'm gonna say this wrong, but when you're going down, like you're going down toward the docks and there's a ship with captain and all that, and then there's Alois, who is one of the romanceable NPCs. Well, I started a new game, and my new character, my new MC, is proceeding to romance Alois. And, like, it's kind of cool because this new event involves so when you go down, like, over to the right, there's the captain, and sometimes that's where the boat docks that comes in and all that, and then Alois is usually standing somewhere in the middle. So off to the left, there's the Bowie, the guy who sells fish, and there's the guy, and then right next to that is a food stand. I'm not gonna try to attempt to say what the name of the food is, but it almost kind of looks like calamari rings. Like, they kind of look like onion rings, but Like, I'm pretty sure there's some kind of fish or squid or something like that. Um, so anyway, and like, I didn't even realize this. Like, you could go up and talk to the owner of the shop and he says certain things and stuff. Yeah, apparently he's our new romanceable NPC. The picture kinda reminds me of Fabio from the old romance novels, the paperback ones. Um, the long haired, muscly guy who's usually gently embracing the female of the story or whatever. The protagonist, usually. And so, but yeah, he kind of reminds me of that. Like, he's got long, like, really long blonde hair. Kind of reminds me of Elliot a little bit from Stardew Valley, but his hair is more blonde than, you know, Elliot's hair is kind of more of an auburn, I would say. It's not red, but it's definitely a lot more red than it is blonde, if that makes sense. So, but anyway, so this guy and his his name, but we've already been told in the update it's not his real name, is T.E.C. TEC. And so, but like, I feel kind of like not stupid, but like, I didn't realize that this guy was an android. So basically, what happens is you walk into town, you start walking like you're gonna go down to the docks, and then a cutscene takes over. I won't spoil it in case you guys haven't played it yet or haven't seen anybody play it yet. But so what basically Alois comes in and he helps out, and there's an issue with TC. And so Alois comes along and he does a little bit of working on him. Don't know where Bianca is on this. She's normally the one who repairs androids and stuff like that, but I don't know, maybe she was out of town, or I don't know. I don't know what precisely the deal is, but so she basically, so Alois comes over, he helps the situation, and then they ask him. So I'm basically going to spoil a little bit of it because it'll make a bit more sense. So basically, TEC ends up fully shutting down and is like, oh, And so he becomes, he's like just standing outside of his stall. So Alois comes along and he starts working on him. And he's like, he gets him working in, but he has like, he's looking at the insides and he sees an inhibitor chip in his thingy, in his circuitry. So he removes that, And that apparently is enough to bring GC back. And he asks him about it, and GC is basically like, I don't know, I don't remember, I don't even remember who, like, made me. And here's the thing, because if y'all remember, the first person we meet when we get to White Harbor is we meet Hazel, who is an older android. Here's the odd thing. I'm gonna spoil a little something else. So, they also updated, they made it so you can do your research at home. You know how in the past, I think the game that we were playing, we had like a little house off to the side of our house, like a little bit away. It's like it was a bit of a walk, but it wasn't terribly far away, and they redid the house. Well, now you get your own house, which is just like a stone's throw away from the restaurant. And so, and then when you go inside, excuse me, you have a whole kitchen area, and you have a, sorry, you have a whole kitchen area, and you have an area where you can go through, and they have a bunch of different kinds of research you can do. And you can, like, I don't know if y'all remember it was like a actual puzzle. It was like different hexagonal shapes, and you had to fill in the shape all the way in order to, but you had to get like all the flavors. Like, let's say they were asking for 2 sour, 2 sweet, so you had to find the ingredient that would match that and then put that in there. And so it's an interesting puzzle. I've kind of gotten the hang of it by now, but when I first started, I had to kind of look online and see, is anybody else doing this, and has anybody else figured out how to make this work? And I think I kind of figured it out by now. But, so, what I find interesting is, because you're with Aloys when the whole thing with TEC is going on, and then afterwards he's like, I don't remember anything about what's going on. Oh, and the thing I was going to mention I completely forgot about was similar thing happens to Hazel. Like, there's a quest. Oh, I remember where I was going with this. So the quest is Hazel asks for your help as a chef because she wants to make a special drink, because she makes boba drinks. She wants to make a special drink for 2 of her friends. And so, but what happens is that right before that happens, like, the cutscene starts, you're talking to her, and then all of a sudden Hazel completely shuts down. And, like, she comes back on after a couple minutes, but, like, in my opinion, she's not acting like herself, if that makes sense. So, I'm wondering if Hazel has an inhibitor chip, and if we'll get to find that out at some point. I mean, I'm assuming not, because I'm assuming the reason why Alois knows how to tinker around inside of an android is because he is Hazel's friend, and he is, that I think it does mention in the game at some point that he does kind of tinker around with her every once in a while, that he's like, Bianca's not around or whatever, or if it happens while Bianca's asleep, or, it's like, hey, come over and, whatever. And so Alois does that. So I'm assuming that's how he knows to tinker around. So I'm assuming that it's not an inhibitor chip, or that it's or that it's slightly different, or that it's hidden, because I'm assuming Alex would know if he found something like that in Hazel. And so I'm just kind of like, okay, that's interesting. But then when the cutscene with TEC started, I was like, wait a minute. This happened with Hazel too, but she came back on her own. And so, I don't know. I'm curious to see whether they'll tie that back in to the TEC plot. Maybe. But apparently, and one thing I have to say, Chef RPG does not hold your hand. It does not explain things to you. Because I didn't even realize I completed the first. There's like 3 or 4 parts to. There's 3 or 4 quests that are with TEC. But anyway, so Alois is like, oh, we need to go to Tidehaven. And of course, Chrissy, who's new, who's just starting, and of course, since this is a new thing, asks what's Tidehaven. And so it's apparently, from what I understand, a Lelsh whaling ship, which, keep in mind, Lelsh is Lelsh is kind of like Joja Corporation in Stardew Valley. They're the company that's all, technology needs to be greater. We need to do more stuff. They're using AI instead of humans or whatever. I mean, it hasn't gone that far yet, but, Sorry about that, my throat was a little dry. But yeah, so basically, so then we go a little bit further, and the captain, who usually stands all on his own on the end of the dock, actually has a purpose, and his purpose is to take people to and from Tidehaven. So basically, Lelch basically a whaling ship crashed somewhere and they built a town around this crashed ship. So they made the inside into like living quarters, and there's a mayor and that kind of thing. But apparently they have like you know how White Ash, sorry, just trying to turn off my fan, there we go. So White Ash Harbor has a library. Well, apparently the library at Tidehaven is a bit more extensive, which that remains to be seen, because so far we can't even like look at the books or anything like that. But anyway, so we get on the ship, we go to Tidehaven, and it is really cute. It is this village that's like at sea. It's like in the sea, but it's also partly on land. Like there's an island or something, I assume. There's reason. There's something they built off of that the whaling ship crashed into. But yeah, so what I find interesting, it's like a whole little town. It's like at White Ash Harbor in a way, because there's like food stalls, there's places to buy fish, there's a place where you can grow and cultivate like seaweed and different kinds of sea creatures and that kind of stuff. They call them fish farms, so that's kind of fun. And that's part of the thing, is Alloys has this quest for you once you get there, and it's like, hey, we need a bunch of seaweed. Can you help me out? And so you do, and you know. And then you have access to the fish farm. And so, like I said, it's kind of cute. But anyway, so you get there, you start walking up, because Town Hall is actually in where the remains of the ship is. And so, as you're walking up, people kind of start looking at TC and being like, oh no, like one of the NPC says, oh no, not him. And that there's a bit of worry there. Like the townspeople are not happy to see TC there. And so you go in. Patrick the mayor is right there. He turns around, he sees TC, and then gets little scribbles over his head that is like, I'm not happy, I'm kind of angry, I don't know what exactly it's supposed to stand for, but not a pleased reaction. So he's like, he refuses to talk, and he's like, you know, something like, I can't remember exactly, but something like, get him out of here. I don't want to see him, you know. And here's the weird thing, though. Like, we leave town, we leave the mayor's office, town hall, we talk to TEC, and in spite of how the reaction that he's gotten, he says, I need to stay in Tidehaven. I feel like I'm supposed to be here. Like, there's something here. Like, my story takes place here. And so, but this is what I was talking about when I said that it's so weird because Chef RPG doesn't hold your hand. It's not like back, like, one of the quests we get later on is to help, this old lady, Pomerine, I want to say her name is, but she is like, help me defeat this creature, you know, and so you go up there and it's this big woolly mammoth. And I've yet to figure out how to successfully do it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, or if I'm not figuring something out, or if it needs another update or whatever, but it's just to the point where it's like, I cannot do this. So, anyway, so part of me is like, okay, you know. So, but again, it's like, Chef RPG doesn't hold your hand, doesn't say, use this weapon, or, you know, or you need to do this, or whatever. You just basically have to fumble around in the dark, unless you could come across video. And keep in mind, this update is only like a few days old, so not a whole lot of people have played through this yet, or at least not upload videos of it to their channel. I found a couple, but they weren't particularly helpful. So, but yeah, so anyway. So yeah, you basically find out, you basically are like, are you sure? Because you could come back to, you know, back to White Irish Harbor. And he's like, no, I need to stay here. So you wander around and explore a little bit. You finish the quest that Alois gives you and all that. And then I was just like, well, what do I do now? Is the quest done? Am I, you know, like, I don't know. And so basically what I had to do was log out of the game, go into, because on Steam at least, they talk about the update, so I had to click on where the developers were talking about the update and scroll down a little bit, and then they go, and there are 4 quests in this game, and, you know, to figure out that I was done with the first quest. And again, like I said, I would like put a little sound or something, you know, be like, yeah, you've successfully done this, you know, kind of thing. But that's me, and I'm not a game developer, so I don't know. Just, to me, it's just kind of weird. It's just kind of, okay. And what are we doing now? Kind of thing. So anyway, so we leave TEC there, but apparently our next quest starts when we get to, because how you're at a base level, you're not an acquaintance, but you're I just moved to town. I don't know anybody. Oh, hello, new person. Hello, person I haven't met yet. So basically, TEC is considered that, even though you've been talking to him when you stop by his food stall. So again, it does make the most sense to me, but I don't know. So anyway, we have to get to at least acquaintance level with TEC. So now I know I need to do, so every time I go to Tidehaven, I need to seek out TEC and talk to him, possibly give him gifts, that kind of thing. And like I said, he is romanceable, so you can get to that point. I'm just kind of hoping that it doesn't have to be romanceable, because in this playthrough that I'm talking about, I'm already dating Alois. And would be a little awkward. I don't know. I know in Stardew Valley you can kind of date more than one person at once, although you get a punishment if you try to date all the guys or all the gals in town. You get that special cutscene where everyone finds out about each other, because, again, it is a small town. Did you think you were going to get away with it? But, again, I haven't seen, I haven't seen a situation yet where, you can go with two people. Although I did have, I can't remember if I talked to you guys about this, but I did find this interesting. In my most recent playthrough of Stardew Valley, I was trying to decide, I kind of first started out with, well, I'll see who I mesh with, who my little character interacts with and stuff. And now I'm trying to go between Haley, who I'm at 6 hearts with, and Sam, who I'm only at 3 or 4 hearts with. But trying to decide between the two of them and stuff. And so, but I also find funny because in Stardew Valley every fall, they have the Stardew Valley Fair, which is kind of like a state fair, where you can go and you can play games and you can, people win prizes for their animals and stuff like that. And so, but they have a fortune teller. And you can go to talk to this fortune teller and get your fortune. Well, I got a very interesting and not usual Because usually for me, by the time the Stardew Valley Fair rolls around, I already know and I've locked in on who my future spouse is going to be. Like if I'm going after Harvey, the town doctor, you know, the fortune teller will say something like, "Oh, I see you and Harvey sitting in a room together. You look pleased about something." And, or whatever. But when I went through my first year with, my most recent playthrough, I don't know how to explain it. It was like, oh, you're not committing to anybody. You're kind of going around breaking hearts. And I was like, what? So it's kind of funny. It's kind of like, at least Stardew Valley seems to really emphasize, settling down with like one person, like one spouse, and all that. And so, I don't know, I just found that interesting. I don't know if Chef RPG is like that. Like, I remember the first playthrough I did, my character started dating Milo, who's the clothing person. But it kind of stopped. Like, you could only date somebody like 3 times, and then it was just like you're in a relationship, but you didn't have to do anything further. And that threw me off because I'm so used to, like I said, Stardew Valley, where even, where you declare, I want to date you to your person who you choose, but then you have to work toward getting them ready to marry you, and then you do that, you have the wedding, and even after marriage, you still need to give them gifts, and a lot of times, they'll get like extra hearts after you get married, and you gotta fill those in and get like another special scene or whatever, or get some kind of benefit or that kind of thing. So it's just weird so far to be like, okay, I guess we're in a relationship, but we don't have to do anything to keep the relationship going. It's like, okay, I'm not sure how I feel about this. And again, like I said, it's kind of a weird thing. So, like, I don't know if that's stuff they're adding later on in an update, or if they're done, or... Because I think from what I heard is that they're coming up with this major update, which I'm assuming the Tidehaven thing is the major update. And then they were going to be done with it, if I remember right. So, but yeah, so anyway, it's kind of a different game. It's a very different game in a lot of ways to Stardew Valley and games of that nature, which is fine. It's just kind of weird because it's kind of like, Like, especially that the whole shutdown coming back up came up with Hazel. And then we start a whole quest where that's a thing that happened to our food stall person. And it's like, okay. Wonder if that's going to be connected at some point. But yeah, so that's all I know, really. But that's what I've been doing lately when I haven't been posting at the Marvel Forum. I've been doing a lot of that. Matter of fact, we started a thread where Charles Xavier, basically calls out to anybody who is or has been an X-Men and sort of wants meeting to kind of talk about next steps and how to where to go from here, basically, because up until this point, we've had Lilith, and I don't know how many you know about. I don't know a whole lot about her. All I know is she's apparently very evil and has the ability to take over people's minds, and she's been corrupting and controlling people a lot. So, like I said, I just find it kind of interesting. But yeah, so I basically decided that Mystique is gonna join this. Because the way I've been playing Mystique, she's less of a villain and more of a... Well, up until recently, she's been more of a mom. She's been taking care of Kurt, Nightcrawler. She, because I found out that she and Destiny, who was her partner way back in the day, that they adopted Rogue when she was very young. And so, and somebody's out playing Rogue, and so I was like, do you want to do a thread together? So we worked out, and the same person who plays Rogue also plays Xavier. And so he was like, I got an idea. And so it was funny because in the X-Men thread, Mystique just walks in and it's just like, hi guys, I come in peace. I want to start a fight, that kind of thing. And and Rogue is just looking at her like, did you listen to me? Are you actually trying to? Or is there a hidden agenda? And so that's kind of fun. Hang on, I gotta turn my fan back on. It's like humid out, but it's like not super hot, but I mean it's still the end of August, so it's bound to be a little warm for at least a little while longer. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I've either been posting in the Marvel Forum, or I've been playing Chef RPG trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing. So, suffice to say, when or if we go back to Chef RPG, we'll be doing that quest and with TC, and you guys can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, so either way, it's kind of a cool thing, kind of a interesting experiment. But yeah, so that's what I've been up to. That and, just kind of the usual stuff. Um, like I said, might go across the street to the co-op, see if they're back up and running again. Maybe. Um, or I might just stay here. Because I know I got some dishes to do and stuff like that. So, we'll see what happens. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have to talk about. Again, if you want to, put your thoughts in the comments about what game we should play next. If there's a newer game you guys want me to try at some point, let me know. And yeah, I don't have any updates on Grave Seasons or anything like that. Don't no idea when that's coming out. But I will let you guys know as soon as it does and as soon as I'm able to acquire it. And we will add it to the list. But yeah. So I hope you guys are having a great week, whatever's going on. And I will hopefully see you either tomorrow or Friday if I decide what game we're gonna play next. But yeah, have a good day, and I'll talk to you later.